Hey, thanks for stopping by Minnesota Black Robe Regiment. As always, make sure you're subscribed. As we said yesterday when we were talking to Carrie, for some reason people are getting unsubscribed. Check out the bell icon so you get notifications. Like, comment, and share. I don't think the commenting is going to be a problem on this video because I have the most problematic person in the United States here with me today. I have Jennifer Little Ragamuffin. She's a seamstress, and at this point, all of my manly men friends are going, a seamstress? What's that about? We are probably not going to talk too much about sewing itself today, although I'm probably going to like challenge her to make something completely unique that fits me. So good luck with that, Jen. So Jen, introduce yourself if you would. Tell us as much as you're willing to share about who you are and where you're from and whatever you want us to know.
Well, I have a pattern company that has been attacked by the social justice crew, and I constantly kind of give it back to them. I don't know. I'm from the Midwest. Like I'm just like I'm a normal person, like everybody else, and these kinds of situations with the cancel culture I think it gets overlooked when it's a small individual person and not somebody like Gina
Right.
Carano or, celebrity status where they get hit and everybody sees it, So,
Right. So you've been making sewing for a long time. As we were talking before started recording, you've been sewing for quite a while. You started doing pattern hacks and then got told that you were never going to be good enough to make your own patterns. And so you said, "Oh yeah, well," and you decided to make your own. And how long after you started making your own patterns did you start seeing some success?
like immediately, because I made my first dress was a Vegas sundress, and I made it just because for myself. Like I didn't plan on putting the pattern out. I was in a car accident and hurt my back really bad, and I couldn't wear jeans and things. They were hurting my hips, so I'm like, I need cute dresses. So I made this dress and was sharing it in sewing groups, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, that's like super cute," and blah blah blah. And do you have a pattern for that? So at that point, I was like, well, I don't know how to digitize patterns. I am super not the tech person. Like I am terrible with technology. I can hand draft things, so drawing and whatever. So I had a couple of friends that were already in the pattern business, and they're like, "We'll help you. We'll show you just the basics." So they did, and it took about 6 months, and the pattern went out, and it was amazing. I was just like floored at how many people bought it, and it was very nice.
So it took 6 months to get it out there in a digitized version.
Yeah, because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right. So you got it out
like
there.
I had to learn all of the programming and how to grade sizes and make, I can make it for myself. At that point, I was just making things for myself. But making it for a wide variety of people and sizes is quite difficult, or was quite difficult for me at the time. And I didn't know what I was doing. So I had to learn a whole bunch of stuff before I could go forward and actually make a pattern that was worth selling.
What's a pattern on average when you do stuff like this? What's a seamstress who sells their own patterns? What's that look like retail? Like what's that?
Like when I put it out for purchase?
Yeah. What's that look like?
So mine are like around $12. The kids' patterns I try to keep around $10 and $8, but the women's patterns are like $12.
Okay. And the reason I bring that up is because this becomes income for you as you get going.
Oh yeah. That's what I buy all my boots with.
I wasn't asking because I'm thinking about buying anything. Right? You don't want me to use your patterns. So this becomes a income for you because at this point you're predominantly a stay-at-home mom.
Oh yeah. So like I had a small custom clothing business before, which led me to start doing the pattern hacks like you mentioned, and getting dogged a little for doing that. which pushed me in the direction of creating patterns because they told me that I would never be able to. And, I don't like to be told not to do something, so I did it anyway. But yeah, so it's like, it was a nice stream of income, or it still is. It's extra. It doesn't pay. It doesn't pay my mortgage. It doesn't pay for, my groceries and things like that. It's my play money. It's stuff like my kids want to do sports or this or that. Like, I want to treat myself to getting my hair done or getting boots or whatever. Like it's my money. You know what I mean? Like.
And that's, and just so people understand too, is that Jen, not only was she doing this, but she also home educated her children.
Yeah, I have 3 kids that I homeschool. Well, my oldest is in college now, but the other 2 are homeschooled. Yeah.
And we're going to be working on getting her oldest on here because her oldest is a genius too, by the way. So I'm not kidding. I discovered this girl on Twitter, and it took me till yesterday to figure out that they were related. So we're going to be working on getting her on here as well because she's as sharp as a razor blade. So homeschool.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's nothing good about public school. I can't think of one thing. It's not even like, oh, your kids are around other kids and they're going to be socially whatever. No, that's not the social activity you're getting from that is not what you want for your kids anyway. So.
It's like that's like saying, well, we don't have any place else to go, so let's put our kids in a juvenile detention center so they can get education.
Exactly.
So,
that's a good comparison.
So, all right, Jen, you ready? I'm going to put your feet to the fire.
Yep.
Why are you racist?
Why?
Yeah,
oh, goodness.
Because that's what it is, right? Like, they tried to destroy you.
There's so many reasons.
They tried to destroy you for being a racist, right? So you hate anybody that's not white, correct?
I guess, yeah, that's what they tell me.
Okay, all right. So Jen is not a racist, but she has been labeled problematic by the critical race theory crowd and the social justice crowd. And she and I have been talking about this for a little while. I'm privy to some inside information, and I know that she's put together a video that perhaps we might be able to watch at some point, but not today.
No, it's up. It's up on my YouTube channel.
Oh, is it up on your YouTube? Ah.
It's up on my YouTube channel. And it's on my blog. I can send you the link to that if you want. I can't do it now because I don't know how to do that. Because I suck with technology and I don't know how to do it.
We will link to that video, both the YouTube and the blog, because we want to promote you as much as possible.
So why am I racist? Is that what we're getting at here?
So how does this happen? How do you go from having a very successful, albeit not full-time, but a successful pattern seamstress thing going on, to now all of a sudden, like, the entire woke, the fact that I even have to use this term, woke sewing community, like, can we just not have it permeate everything now?
I don't. It's because it's all women. 100% of this is because there's a couple guys here and there that are in the groups, but it's like 99% female-led community, and that's where you have your problem. And see, I'm also misogynistic, so I can say this because they've already labeled me misogynistic. Yeah. So it happened. I had a theory for a while, and I wasn't really sure. I was kind of feeling like I was paranoid, but as the years went on, because this has been going on for a while, I kind of feel like it was these pattern companies, my kind of competitors, I guess now, that have started all this. So for a while, when I'd put out a pattern, like my first one, people would start coming and saying, oh, I put out a free. Okay, so I had the regular pattern, and I think I gave away the size large. It was either the medium or the large or something for free, just absolutely free. You can have it, try my pattern, I'm new, whatever. People were saying, oh, the drafting is horrible, this and that. And it was always on the freebie one. And I would go back to my testers because it goes through like months of testing and all this stuff, and nobody had these problems. I would print the pattern and I would check it all, and I was going crazy. And there was never any problems. So it was like fictitious complaining to make me look bad as a business person. And that happened on a couple patterns, and it didn't seem to affect my business at all. And then eventually the complaints started to go from my pattern drafting to my personal character. So it wasn't working so much that they tried to make me out to be just a horrible designer. Then they called me racist and all the other things.
So something about your product was a threat.
Absolutely. And
so they were trying to destroy your business by attacking your quality of product. Mm-hmm. And that didn't work. So then they had to come up with something else.
Yeah. So the big event was it was my 2-year anniversary of my business. And my group on Facebook was like a couple hundred people away from 10,000 members.
And this was the group that you created for
This is my group, my personal Facebook business group. Not my Facebook page, but it was my business group. So you have to like ask to join. You can't just like it, and people that join groups are more likely to be customers and things and share. And they're better. They want to be there. They're not just going to join a group to join it, So it's possible income and all that. So 10,000 went from 0 to 10,000 in 2 years. Now I would say, just based on my limited knowledge of business growth, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I was having a huge celebration, of course, because it's like 2 years, 10K, and I had prizes and sales all month long. I was giving away a serger, which is this machine behind me. It's a couple $100.
I'll take your word. I'll take your word for it.
So it was just like a huge thing. And on sale day, like 3 or 4 or something, the good old boy, and here's where the racism comes in. The good old boy pattern is a men's button-down shirt. And the day I put that sale up, I started getting hammered, and it was immediately, and it was calculated, and you just don't get swarmed like that for no reason. You know what I mean? You don't get hundreds of people that decide one day after a pattern has been out for a year and a half, because this wasn't a new pattern, it wasn't a new product. They just all of a sudden just pile on, just swarm like crazy, calling you all kinds of things. And they asked me, not so nicely, to change the name, that it was harmful and mean and racist and all these things to the Black community. And I told them that it wasn't. I said it has nothing to do with the Black community or anything. It's, a Southern
or the
guy
white community or anything else. It's just a shirt pattern.
Yeah, and at the very bottom of it, like the very basic fact, it's just a button-down shirt. Like, it's a shirt pattern. You can't be racist. It's a shirt pattern. It's an inanimate thing. So when I told them no, I wrote a nice little letter to them. And most people do these apology letters, which sound kind of like hostage letters. I did not do that. And I told them I was going to leave the pattern. I was going to leave the pattern name, and I was also putting it on sale for half off for the entire month. And I put the code free speech because that was the group that they were using to trash me, was called Free Speech Patterns and Fabrics. So they got even more irritated, and this becomes more problematic behavior.
Wait, this is an aspect of the story that you have not told me. The group that attacked you for your good old boy pattern for a button-down men's shirt was the Free Speech Sewing group.
Yeah, Free Speech Patterns and Fabric Edition is what they called it. And I was in that group because it was a promotional group. And I will say, legitimately, several years before all of this, there were some businesses that were scamming and taking people's money and not delivering fabric. So there was legitimate issue with calling some businesses out, because I was scammed. I don't want to say it because then I look like an idiot, but it did happen. And there was a thing going around for a while, because it's the internet and it's PayPal and people or whatever. So there was legitimate reason.
Once, at least.
Right. But there was legitimate reason to have this group around for a small time. However, after this kind of weird scamming, whatever you want to call it, went away or wasn't as prominent, the people that ran the group seemed like they just couldn't get enough of the attention calling out groups, right? So what are we going to do next? What's next? It's just the spiral of we have to find something. There's always somebody and something to find fault with.
They're stoking the flames of outrage.
Very much so, and it's all for their own like egos and to be important, and there's a list. I mean, and it's so bizarre because the list is like 30 or 40 businesses long now that are no, you can't promote them, you can't talk about them. Of course, I'm on that list. And these are racist businesses and stuff. And it's like, there's no possible way. There's 40 businesses in the sewing world that are that racist that, it's so weird.
I'm just trying to imagine a racist sewing business at all. I mean,
well, there are some out there, but they're not people like me. They're the ones that are saying, we need the BIPOC and this and that and whatever. And there's legitimate racist ones out there,
Well, what I'm saying is I'm imagining that this woke social justice warrior cult mentality are the racist, and so now they're going around as racist, attacking anybody who doesn't do what they want and accusing them of being racist, which is racist.
Yeah.
So, gosh, I wish I would have thought of this ahead of time. I would have had you have a sample of your racist shirt to show us, but so it had like a Confederate flag and a bunch of anti.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it came with embellishments to do like, KKK insignia if you wanted, or they'll put the rebel flag on the entire back. I worked really hard on this. I worked really hard to make these templates.
To make it as racist as possible, right?
And I literally said, this shirt is not available for the Black community. Please do not buy this pattern. Like I had testers, and I don't pick people because it's wrong based on what you look like outside. Like I pick people based on their sewing abilities, their picture quality, their just personality, niceness. Like I don't even care if you just picked up a sewing machine yesterday. If you want to test for me, you come test for me. Like I'm not that person. And so I have testers on the cover of my pattern that are, I guess in their terms, people of color, which is so disrespectful in itself, but that's another story. But yeah, so I had people of all colors and all backgrounds and
test this pattern. They tested
from Sri Lanka, and like I have testers all over the world.
Right, but these people tested your pattern.
Yeah.
And they knew what it was going to be called.
Yes, I don't hide it.
Right. So it wasn't like you're like, oh hey, try this pattern, and then they all came back and said, oh hey, it's great, and then you went and put this incredibly racist name on it.
Exactly.
So what we're dealing with here is, it's the outrage culture. We have to have something to be outraged about or by every day. Yep. We have to have some sort of new outrageous offense to deal with on a continual basis, because that's what keeps us alive, and quite frankly, it probably funds this group. This group has to be getting some sort of funding somehow by generating this kind of outrage.
Like money funding?
Yeah,
I think it's emotional.
Well, I'm
think
sure
they're just bored at home.
But are they also pattern people too?
Well, so some of the businesses, they're not active. Like they're pretty crafty about how they go about this. It's their testers, it's their affiliates, it's other people like on the outskirts of their business that I've drawn very close ties. Like you can see the lines, you know what I mean? Like if you want to put the big.
You have an entire room in your house that has all that.
With with
the line.
Yeah.
From the pictures.
These are the things that I thought I was crazy for thinking for years. And then I sat down and I went through, I started screenshotting things, which I'm not a person that takes screenshots, but I am now because it just gets so bad and you start to feel crazy. So I started cataloging the stuff and looking back through it. It's like the same people doing this to, it's not just me either. Like there's other, like I said, like 40 businesses now on this list, but it's the same people and it all goes back to the same couple companies. Like you can trace them back to a couple pretty prominent businesses. And one story I'm going to share real quick, nothing to do with me. It's a purse business. They make handbags and things. They had like 70,000 people in their group. And overnight, basically, like within 2 or 3 days, the woman who owned it, the sole owner of this business, handed over her business to another bag company that had probably about 15 to 20, maybe, thousand. She completely gave up her business because she got attacked because somebody, not even her, made a Blue Line Matters bag. So they made a police bag, like supportive police. Her group got attacked. And in 2 days, she said, I quit. I can't handle it. These people, she's getting death threats. So she just gave everything up to this other business. To me, and from reading the information, very calculated. And her whole entire admin team swooped in to the group and started generating the conversation. Like you can see this happening, and it was a hostile takeover. She took over. She owns the thing. She owns the website now. She owns everything. It's insane. And I've seen that happen to a couple businesses, not quite on that scale, but that one was huge because it was massive.
Yeah, and that's really kind of where we're at. Like, so what they're used to, and I may or may not know some people who have been now also put in a position where they have been accused of being problematic. You know how much I hate that word.
I like it.
Well,
I do. Does that make me weird?
When I get labeled problematic for something, it doesn't bother me because I know I'm hitting home.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
Exactly.
like the old World War II adage: if you're getting flack, you're over the target. You know that you're over the target, and so I don't mind when I'm labeled problematic. What I mind is the fact that there's no definition of the word. There's no, it's just you're problematic. How so? What have I done? Well, yeah, but you're just problematic.
So that's what I've been doing back with.
Fix it.
Yeah.
Fix what? What?
But it's not my job to educate you.
Right.
If you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. That's what they say back, right? Yeah, do the work. Yeah. And I did the work. The amazing thing is, I spent, and this is like where we started talking and the unsafe space and Carrie and all that. Once they picked,
you've been on their show, right?
I was on their show, yeah. And like after they picked that up and Carrie contacted me, like I didn't know what any of this junk was. I didn't know there were actual terminologies. I saw the behavior coming from like when they took out, okay, so go back to the good old boy. I'm a Dukes of Hazzard fan. So when they removed the General Lee from NASCAR, it was just like, what the heck? Because, moonshining and the whole, that's how it was built. It's the culture. It's part of it. It has nothing to do with racism, none of that stuff. And they're just strategically removing all these bits of culture, right? And you're watching this, and then you're seeing the sports teams having to be renamed, the Redskins and all this stuff. And it's just, over the years, you're like, this is nuts. This is crazy. And now it's on my front door. Like now it's like, what? So I didn't know there was a whole calculated movement, if you will, or structure to it and terminologies and this and that. So I spent the better part of last year, thank goodness we were in lockdown, right? I had lots of extra time and reading and looking at all their literature. And now like, I know them cover to cover. So when they come at me, that problematic thing, like you just said, like I like to give it back to them and tell them, hey, well, tell me why. Like, you're a random person. I've never had any interaction with you. Why are you calling me racist or my business? Sometimes I pretend like I'm not even the owner. Like if I post something that irritates them too, be like, what do you mean? What do you mean racist? I don't understand. And then they're like, oh, well, it's in this group. Go look in this group. Well, can you just tell me? Because I'm not in that group. And they have nothing to say. They don't know what to say because it's all hearsay. It's all hearsay,
Well,
gossip, slander.
right, exactly. And there again, I just before we did this, I shot a video that I'm going to release here that talking about the the government's push now to get us to turn in our neighbors and our friends and our coworkers and our family members if we think they're being radicalized, but they don't give us a definition of what it means to be radicalized.
Right.
Just report on them. And I talk a little bit about the former Green Beret who the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security tried to recruit, and they used his social media content and said, well, we're here to talk to you about your social media content, but basically we're going to use that to hold over your head to, like, work for us, do this for us, infiltrate these groups for us, or we're going to label you this.
Mm-hmm.
And what I say there is like, it's all targeted. It's a tool, and I think the terrifying thing for people who have been through it, like you and me, who has had to deal with his own version of this, as you're familiar with some of what I'm talking about, is that now this is ensconced in our government entities. And not only has it been heading that way, now it's like at the highest levels, the upper echelons. Like, we literally have sitting in the White House right now a man and a woman, because let's be honest, they're co-presidents, a man and a woman who have the voice, public voice, to label people problematic and never define it, and turn the entire country on them. Look at what they've done to Margie Taylor Greene.
I don't know who that is.
She's a member of the House of Representatives that AOC hates so much, right?
Oh,
and she's outspoken, and she probably has no filter. I have no idea what that's like, but she's she's problematic. Ted Cruz is problematic, like right? Like, Rand Paul is problematic, and they throw these words out there, just the accusation. Oh, you're problematic. Oh, mm-hmm. Oh, you're a bigot. Oh, you're a racist, and it's a business. It's literally a business, and like you said, the apology aspect of being held hostage. Mm-hmm. Carrie and Carter have talked about this a lot, about the apology tours that people are now forced to go on. And once you start down that road of saying, ooh, I'm sorry, you never stop. If you had apologized for the good old boy, it would have been over.
Oh, it would have. That video,
they would have destroyed you. They would have destroyed you.
So I got access to this video that was made, I think the day all this stuff went down. I don't know the exact date it was made, because I only have the video. It doesn't show the day, but
it doesn't have a timestamp on it. Come on,
it does. No, somebody sent me the video. Yeah, timestamp again. Technology, stop it. So I got the hold of this video last fall, and I didn't know what to do with it, because I was like torn back and forth. Like, do I put it out there, because this is a person, and is somebody, they're going to know who it is. Even if I cover her face, she's very prominent in the sewing community, and I'm just so nice. I'm like, I don't want her to end up having to change a heart later, or any of these people. So I cover everybody's names, because otherwise then they get labeled, possibly like I've been labeled, or blacklisted by other companies. Like, and I don't want that to happen to them. You know what I mean?
Oh, so, yeah.
I mean, even though they're horrible, like, I don't want to do that. But in this video, she legitimately says, verbatim, the good old boy, the Western collection, she should not be able to name any patterns. Like, now she has the Western collection, because it's part of that. Good old boy there's an outlaw lady, there's the good old boy, little lady, and little buckaroo.
You are so racist.
I know, right? Buck Owens is a horrible guy, by the way. So, and so she goes on to say how that's not the only. She's like, and I'm looking at her patterns, and there's a lot of the Western collection. And she goes in to say how she's Native American, which I don't necessarily believe. I've heard from other people that that's false, but again, that's hearsay and gossip as well. Women, right? So yeah, so it wasn't
misogynist.
going to end. It wasn't going to end. And like, I didn't know that specific thing at the time that was said. But looking back now, like if I would have said something, then it would have just been this cascade of everything.
Pull this down, pull this down,
Yeah.
pull this down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this conversation that you have the video of, is this taking place in what would be considered a competitor's business?
No, this is in the free speech group, but there is a competitor in the comments. And I have some screenshots of those comments where she's just laughing and having a good day. And this is one of her main testers, the one making the video. And I also know that she bought her printer went down or some stupid thing. And she's like, right away jumped in, I'll buy you a new one. Like she was just complaining in the group. So it's just like these weird, like, who does that? I don't know. You're just going to buy somebody something.
Sounds like a payoff. Sounds like a payoff to me.
There's just, I don't know. There's just weird stuff like that. And I don't know where to go with it sometimes. It's so crazy.
So,
you know?
So let's talk about the thing that we share in common. Because I think this is going to help people understand the reality of who Jennifer Little Ragamuffin is. You are a Christian, unashamedly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Did Jesus die just for white people?
Of course.
Okay, thanks.
Nobody else
thoughts and
need
views
not apply.
expressed by guests on this program are not necessarily representative.
This is why I'm problematic. I'm sorry. No,
well,
of course not. It's for everybody.
You have to
for
make
anybody.
Jokes. You have to make
otherwise,
jokes.
You die inside without humor.
Right.
You know, like you want to go.
Which is the entire woke community. They're all dead inside because they have no humor.
They are. Yeah, they're not allowed to laugh or have joy. You know, so I always like this, and I can't remember if it was in Screw Tape or if I read it somewhere else or something that just popped into my head. But angels are lighthearted and they sing and they're happy and they're joyful and they fly and they're just beautiful creations, right? Demons are heavy and sunk down and evil and they're miserable. So it's like, what do you want to be? Do you want to be happy and joyful and be an angel and be lighthearted and fun and have a good time, right? Like that makes more sense to me than when people are like, there's good and evil in the world. There definitely is, you know?
Well, I mean, so you say.
What?
So you're a Christian, and I've seen you quote everybody's. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but you've quoted people like Schaefer and others, and who were very much Christian philosophers who had their fingers on the pulse of the country and also had a finger in the air, that wet finger in the air, getting the feel for the direction of the wind that was blowing. And Schaefer, as you know, was warning about this decades ago. Anything from the Christian Manifesto to How Should We Then Live, he warned about this. And you're an artist. Like literally what you do is art. I full disclosure, I don't sew, but I watch Jen's videos on YouTube. It's weird. She's a friend, all right? Leave me alone. But she's an artist. What she does is art. Sewing isn't just this practical, pragmatic thing that she does. And you're an artist, and she's an artist, people. And Schaefer warned about this and How Should We Then Live, that this postmodernism, he wasn't talking about social justice or social justice warriors. He wasn't talking about woke, because that wasn't a thing when he wrote that book. But he was warning about deconstructionism. He was warning about social justice through the views of postmodernism and how it was going to eventually permeate and destroy the art community.
So this is a pattern, and I've gotten very comfortable, and it's very comforting, I guess, not comfortable, comforting for me. And I hope this helps other people too. And again, okay, I am horrible with remembering dates and names of things. So you guys are going to have to look some of this stuff up, because I can tell you roundabout stuff, but unless I have like Google or my notes or my books or whatever on hand, like I can't, it's hard for me to quote things and get exactly accurate. However, this whole system that we're going through has been going on since Adam and Eve, right? So you can go back that far. If you don't want to go back that far, you can just go back to like the Romantic period of art. And I cannot remember what came before or after that, but there is a period of deconstruction and the same exact stuff. It just wasn't called postmodernism, you know? And directly following that was a period of not deconstruction, but construction. Like I don't know how you would say it. I didn't plan on talking about this, by the way, so I'm all like, I don't know what I'm saying. But it was more realistic, you know, like everything was
called Realism.
As it should be. There you go. Yeah. So it's just.
She's very good at sewing, ladies and gentlemen.
I know, I'm so bad. I'm sorry. But
No,
Escape from Reason. So Schaefer's book, Escape from Reason, he talks about Picasso. And he talks about how Picasso, you know, his crazy faces and the things that he did with people and what he painted. But then he also talks about when he was in love. When he was in love, he dare not disrupt the love of his life, any which one of them. Like they were always painted in realistic form.
Yep. Because
when you love something, you cannot deconstruct it. When you love something, and it's pure.
Yep.
Okay, so that's something that's kind of been comforting for me to see that, even going as far back as, and talked about my daughter a little bit, she just wrote a huge review on Confessions of St. Augustine, and that's 12th century stuff. And it's like, I read a couple chapters of it, and it just blew my mind. Like, this thing is spot on today.
Right.
12th century. So people don't change, situations don't change, technology changes, and the way we live our lives daily, I guess. We have houses and whatever and things like that, but and electricity, but people don't change. At the heart of all of these problems is the lack of Christ. And you need that in your life, or you have nothing. You know, you fall into these pits of social justice or whatever you want to call it. So when people don't have that, when they don't have truth, if you don't have truth, you have nothing.
And just so our dear friend Tomsky and and Joe and Carter know,
they have nothing. No,
you're nothing.
No, they're not. No, they are not
was,
nothing.
It was a
they
joke.
Are just empty, broken people inside. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding.
And I just lost all my friends. No. No. But we don't say that. Jen doesn't say that, and I don't say that as an accusation. It's just our worldview, and we love you still. We still love you, even though we adamantly disagree with your ideological position. We love you. And the reason why we're friends is because you need us. So, that's for the insider group. They'll understand why we just did that. And that's the thing, Jen. You're so dead on about that. There's this constant recycling of the same tropes, the same problems, the same narratives over and over and over. There's always got to be this problem, and we always have to fix it. And you either have that Christian ideological view of what the core and the center of everything is, and you know that to be the solution, or you have to find something else that's the causative of the problem, so you can destroy that so that the problem can go away. And that's what I think we're seeing in these attacks on people like you, is the reality that we don't like her, something about her, it resonates in a negative way with us. It's like when you hear certain sounds, like fingernails on a chalkboard, there's something about her
Oh gosh,
That that
shaking
does
nails on the chalkboard, me.
well, no, but that's why they're coming after you,
Yeah.
because there's something about you that is like fingernails on a chalkboard to them, and they don't know what it is, and so they have to attack it. They have to find a way, and the only way they can do that is to try and deconstruct you as a person. And to deconstruct you as a person, they have to then ignore everything about you without getting to know you. And
Mm-hmm.
and the very belief system that you cling to, your ideological, philosophical worldview as a Christian says, I don't care where you were born. I don't care what you look like. I don't care about your skin pigmentation. I don't care about your income. I don't care about where you live in the United States, or what kind of job you have, or what your name is. What I care about is you as a person. Because, and I said this in my conversation with Carrie yesterday, it's because you have a recognition of the imago Dei in individual people, which is why you can put out a pattern like the good old boy and not see any issues with it, because you're not looking as to whether or not this is going to be offensive. You're just saying, hey, I'm putting a name on this, and I want people to enjoy it. I want them to find joy in this, and to find joy in the art of doing this.
Did you read my
And
blog? Did you read my blog? I
I,
literally put that in there. I said, because
I
last summer.
literally did not read that book. Now I feel bad, like I should have.
No. It's okay. It's funny because it's almost like word for word. I said, I don't live my life. I don't wake up every day thinking of who I may offend or who I may not offend. I can't remember. It's my own words. I can't remember. Something like that. I don't look to see who I'm going to offend or who I'm not going to offend. I wake up every day trying to please God. And if what I do is pleasing to him, and that's what matters. I don't wake up thinking I need to please these people that are yelling at me. Why? They're already yelling at me. Like, I don't know. Like, your identity, these people want to talk about identity all the time. Well, as Christians, our identity is in Christ. So none of this matters.
Right.
Well,
That's easy
none of
for
this
you to
matters.
say,
And
because
that's
you're a white woman, so it's easy for you to say your
it's
skin
so
doesn't.
easy for me. So easy. So little side story. And I don't talk about this stuff because it's not very relevant, and it's annoying. And I'm going to do it now, though, even though I'm calling it annoying. I think when people try to justify their background to people that they don't know, but I know you, so I'll say, to people they don't know, to prove that they're not racist, or all these things. So I grew up in Illinois, and my parents were divorced when I was 4, and I was a total latchkey kid. Horrible upbringing, actually absolutely horrible upbringing. And when I was a teenager, I moved with my mom. So I lived with my dad, who was completely psychopathic. He burned our house down and like a bunch of other weird stuff.
Don't label.
No, definitely I'm labeling. Like, I got my doctorate degree just for that. So crazy stuff went down. I grew up in this craziness, and I moved to Virginia because my mom joined the military because she was out of options. It wasn't even like I'm proud of my country. She was 35 and had nowhere to go, nowhere to live, so she joined the military. So I moved out there to be with her to get away from my crazy situation. And when I moved out there, she was living in Virginia Beach, and it was predominantly Black. And I was at a school where I was basically the only white girl. And not that that's like terrible, and I wasn't picked on. I didn't get made fun of or anything, but it was weird. I will tell you, like, my town I came from was pretty mixed. It was more white Mexican, whites and Mexican, and some Blacks. Like, it was not completely white, right?
Yeah,
So, but
what you're getting at is, like, you have lived in communities where people
yeah.
interacted with each other every day, all day long, regardless of
Yeah.
their skin color.
And it's like the late 90s, and people are like totally normal, and there wasn't this weird thing. And there were some mean people, but there's always some mean people, you know what I mean? But yeah, like I don't get where people are like, oh, you don't understand and you don't know, you never been around and you this and that. I'm like, I don't know. I've never actually taken stock of my life in that way up until recently. I've never looked around at my friends and decided like, do I need more of you or more of you? Like, which color do I need now? Like people tell you that, and it's so frustrating. Like,
Yeah,
why do
well,
I
you
have to
feel
pick a
different
friend?
if you had black friends, or you feel different if you had Hispanic friends, or if you had Asian friends. You don't know what it's like because you're, you know, and then you do. I get what you're saying, because you look at yourself and you're like, racist? What?
Like, I don't understand.
Like,
Yeah,
like,
and
how can you even say that? You don't know me.
everybody's life experience is going to be completely different from the person sitting next to them, even if you're twins. You can grow up in the same household, you can have identical DNA, whatever, it doesn't matter. Your life experience is going to be different. That's a fact. So to sit there and tell somebody, you're white, so this is exactly what you've experienced, or you're black, this is exactly what you've experienced, the cops are trying to kill you, whatever. Like, it's not the case. You can't do that. And I understand why they're doing it, but I still have a very hard time understanding why they think it's okay to do that, you know? And we are way off the sewing subject here. No, just
No,
kidding.
no, we're not. Actually. We're not. We're not.
Yeah.
We're not. Because that's what this comes down to.
It does.
Like,
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to, is that the very thing that you have been accused of as a seamstress is probably not even politically correct
No,
anymore.
seamstress.
And
yeah.
No, that's too gender specific. I think we have to be more general.
I know, that's why I like it.
As a seamstress, you have been told that everything that you do, it is inherently a product of your white supremacy,
Mm-hmm.
and inherently a product of your white privilege.
Yeah.
And
Zero of that.
And when you make a pattern like the good old boy pattern or all your Western stuff, you don't have a problem with it because you're white and you've benefited from that racism and from that systemic pattern of racist abuse for your entire life. And as we've been taught now, that the great, the religious language of this movement is the original sin of white supremacy and and slavery in the United States. You don't understand it because you're immersed in that original sin. And now we're here to preach the gospel of repent of your whiteness to you, and you refuse to do that, so you're a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't wake up in the morning as a Christian looking at people and judging them on what they look like. That's why this is so germane. Mm-hmm. That's why how you grew up is germane. And why it's such a pivotal part of who you are as a seamstress. Like, you are making patterns because you enjoy them, because you like to do that, and you want to bring glory to God. And then somebody's stepping into your life, deconstructing who you are and deconstructing your theological views, and saying to you, basically, you can't bring glory to God because what you did was racist, and therefore it's hateful. And as a Christian, and now they would never say this, so we just gave them ammunition. You should change this. Carrie brought up Kyle Howard in our conversation yesterday. Here's this pastor who claims to be Christian, who is literally propagating this social justice mentality, this woke theology, and all of this stuff into Christians, and basically saying you can't be a Christian if you don't believe these things. And you would be that person. Like, if you're truly a Christian, you're going to apologize for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you're over here going, I don't have anything to apologize for. Any sin I've ever committed has already been taken care of at the cross.
See, but okay, so yes, but I do think if you do something and it is honestly harmful, not fabricated harmful, you do need to apologize and reconcile with the person that you've wronged or whatever. If you sin against somebody, you need to go to them and say, I'm sorry, I did this thing or hurt your feelings or whatever it is. But this was not that for me.
Right.
it was not that. This was a calculated move. And when I know you talked about Josh Slocum. He is dead on when he says this is abuse tactics, because I've lived in an abusive household. I do understand this. And it's probably one of the things, on top of my husband just being an amazing, strong guy and told me, slap me. He didn't slap me. He's like, just like knock it off, you know.
For a point of clarification, there has never been a domestic abuse issue.
No, I know. See, this is like this recorded thing. No. So it is not my husband abusive, my parents abusive. My husband's a wonderful guy. And when all this stuff was going down, I was freaking out and crying. And he came to me and he was like, this is all baloney and you need to just snap out of it because you're hysterical and you're going to do something you're going to regret, which would be probably change the pattern name and bow to them and do that type of thing because it's overwhelming. And I understand that because it really was.
And that's what they want.
At that point.
That's what they want. They want to overwhelm you. I know what that feels like. They want to overwhelm you. They want to get you to the point where you're ready to back down. Because once you start backing down,
submit or quit. That's what it's in my blog too. I said they just keep coming at you. They just want you to either submit to them or quit or die or whatever the heck they want you to do. You know, they don't want you to thrive.
They want to paint you in as negative light as possible so that they can say, look at how horrible this person is. I had this conversation with somebody about something that was said about me here in the last few weeks. Very, very large something that was said about me here in the last couple of weeks. And I'm like, hey, if I look at this, I hate that guy too.
Right. Oh, I know.
I hate this guy, but that's not the guy I am. Like the person you just described in all of this stuff you just said about me, like that dude's a jerk. He's an ass. I hate him. But that's not me. What you just described is not what's happening.
I constantly invite people, like I told you before, I have little interactions and sometimes they know it's me, sometimes they don't. And they're saying, oh, this business is whatever. And so I'll, ask questions and then it'll end up coming out. Somebody will pop in, well, she's the owner, or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And you just talked to me and you wouldn't have talked to me before had I said, I am this person. But I always invite people to come and message me privately. I send the link to my blog. I was like, please just look at me. Look at me. Don't look at what other people have said about me. Look at my actual words, because they take your words, they take the screenshots and they edit them, or they, selectively use whatever they want, or they might even use the original post or whatever it is, but they put so much spin into their post, and it creates the environment and the emotional drama that they need to get their point across.
There again, they deconstruct you.
Yeah.
Even using your original post or whatever it is, they go in and they deconstruct it based on their emotional, their emotional being.
Yeah. So back to the pattern name things. It's actually kind of funny. So I did the Vegas dress, and I told you immediately people were like trying to put it down and all that. So my second pattern I put out was the same dress, but it had sleeves. So it was like a version of the dress with sleeves. And I called it the double down. And it has two meanings there.
Not bad.
Like I'm doubling down, right? And Vegas, like I live in Vegas and it's the Vegas theme. So I do these things and they are purposeful, which is somewhat, I guess, problematic, which I do have a pattern called problematic. And it triggers them, and it triggers them because they're not used to having pushback,
Boy, don't I know that.
Right. So I have another pattern collection that's called the Hellcat collection. And if you look up the term Hellcat, it's just a formidable woman. It's somebody you don't trifle with. It's just it's an empowering thing. Yes. Okay. You have the pinup aspect where it's like the sexiness and all that stuff, but it's a strong woman, right? And so that's why I'm misogynistic, because I use, I don't know, the pinup stuff, I guess. I have no idea, but it's
I have
just
not
ridiculous.
seen any of those videos, by the way, so I just want to.
You haven't seen what? What
any,
videos?
Any pinup videos. So.
Oh, I don't have any. No.
I'm over here getting like, I don't know what she's. He watches videos and she's talking about being a pinup. I'm like,
no, I'm not. I am
I
not. I just enjoy the style and the fashion. Okay, so I am in no way a model, so I'm sorry if that makes people sad inside. um, anyway,
Well,
the video this woman put out trashing me, it's like she doesn't even know me. She even says, I don't know who she is. I don't know her. She says this in the video. What's her name? She doesn't even know my name until halfway through the video. And it's like, who are you to say any of these things, even remotely sideways of these things that like so damaging and so horrible about somebody you don't know. It's like, I invite you, come, I'm an open book. You come
it,
message me, let's talk. Let's, you know, let's
it's
have a
literally
conversation.
it's literally the opposite in I'm going to talk about myself here for a minute. It's literally the opposite of what I do. What this gal did to you in her video was she was talking about your character, talking about your ethic, talking about your worldview, and demeaning you as a person based on something that was content, for lack of better terminology, of a pattern or a series of patterns or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And without knowing your name even or being able to watch your behavior, she demeans you, she belittles you, and it gets away with it because it's okay because you're a problem. Whereas where I have put out videos literally commenting on people's behavior and
Yeah.
been labeled a problem, been attacked for that based on observable character traits and observable behaviors. And the reason I say that it's the exact opposite of what I do is, like, people like you, people like me, we watch behavior and we make commentaries on the person's character based on their behavior.
The content of their character.
Content of their character. Where we're attacked for commenting on the content of a person's character as opposed and then being labeled racist or misogynistic or bigoted for fighting back against a false narrative. And that's where we are in a society today. And I dare say that that's literally I will confess I don't always conduct myself in perfect Christ-likeness. So
none of us do. So there's nothing wrong with that. I'm very flawed. I make crazy mistakes all the time.
But it is actually the epitome of the Christian religion to comment on what's happening in culture and to comment on what you see in the content of a person's character based on how they're behaving and what they're saying. And I think that's why Problematic You gets the feedback that you get, because you don't back down, you double down.
Exactly. And that's funny too, because they say stuff like that. They're like, oh, and then she doubled down and said she's not changing it. So if I'm in this conversation, then I'm just like, I have a pattern for that. Here's the double down. Like, I throw this stuff at them in so many different ways, and it's so frustrating for them. And I mean, I guess it's somewhat like it's continuing to go on. Maybe I'm feeding into it more than I probably should. I don't know. But it doesn't seem like if I don't do anything, because there was a period of time where I did nothing. I ignored, and it didn't stop. So the comedy aspect.
They want a response. They want a response. If you ignore, they're going to keep going until they get a response, because they think that the response they're going to get if they keep going is going to be your capitulation. And when you don't capitulate, they have to come out even more aggressively because you're not responding the way they want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the schoolyard bully. Everybody talks about, oh, well, all it takes is you just punch the schoolyard bully in the nose one time and it'll be over.
No. And he'll come back with 2 or 3 of his friends.
And you're going to have to keep fighting. Yeah. You're going to have to keep fighting. But I'm like you. I don't punch down. You're never going to see me punch down. I dare anybody.
I've never, okay, so one thing I've never done is I've never personally attacked any one of these people. I've never, other than blanket statementing, saying like this group of miserable women, like something like that, right? But I've never called them out personally, and I've never attacked them personally, and I know who they are, and they know I know who they are. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, Like, this is a conversation. Like,
Yeah.
stop it. Um, it it's the adage, of don't punch. You like don't punch down. Like, I get punched down on all the time. People who have far more power than me, people with larger voices than I have, punch down on me constantly because they don't want to punch at the equal level or punch up. I spend all of my time punching up. I've been dealing with bullies since I was in elementary school. Like bullies do not scare me. Do I know when you take on a bully that bully is going to come back after you and probably going to keep coming? Yeah, but I'm going to keep punching.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
So I love Rocky. That's perfect because keep punching. Like, Rocky is one of my favorite movies and whole series of movies. And in the last one, do you know that speech that he gave his kid? Where he's like, this world, something you already know, this world is not sunshine and rainbows. He's like, it's going to tear you down and it'll hold you there if you let it. And he goes on and he says, it's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. Right. And it's like, that is so spot on. And he's like, I love Rocky, so inspirational. Yeah. Everybody should watch it if you haven't seen it. I don't know. Go do it.
Now I feel like I need to go watch Rocky because I feel like I'm missing something. So.
Yeah.
I watched Rocky, but I haven't watched the whole series.
So when we first started talking with your whole situation, way back, like a year ago or so, I told you, and I didn't know you just popped up in the group, and I said, hey, go read Acts. Remember? I said, go read Acts. And then I think I popped in with the Adrian speech when Rocky and Adrian on the beach, Rocky 3, and I posted that video clip where she says, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? And he's like, you want to break me down? You want me to tell you? He's like, I'm afraid of losing what I got. I'm afraid of losing things. And she said, well, you don't have anything. What do we have? We have houses, we have cars, we have money. We have nothing if we don't have the truth. So there you go. And that's what it boils down to.
Right. And that's been, for you, I think for me, for people like Carter and Carrie, for Joshua. I mean, look at what Joshua is going through. If you listen to him, I mean, he's losing people left and right, friends that he had for years, because he's daring.
But you get better friends.
You get better friends. And it's about truth. It's about truth. Like, it's worth it. We have to cling to that. We have to cling to the reality. One, I know the truth of who I am. I know the truth of who I am better than any of y'all do. I know my foils and my follies and my peccadillos, to talk about the way Sproul used the word. I know my nature. I know it better than anybody else does outside of God. You know who you are better than anybody else does outside of God. And you know what you cling to, and you know your weaknesses. And sometimes when you're the only one standing for truth, you feel terribly alone until you get knit into a group of people that sometimes you would probably have never been friends with had you not been pushed into that incredibly uncomfortable position of having to discover not all of my allies are going to be just like me.
Yeah. So I had when this stuff hit the fan, I had two admins that I relied upon for a lot of stuff. And one of them was local to me, and she was I would consider probably in that time of my life, my best friend. They both bailed. And they were trying to tell me, no, you got to change the name, blah, 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 and this and that. And I was like, no. And they're like, you're going to ruin the business. And I'm like, well, it's my business to ruin. I'm going to burn it down. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not doing this. So they both took off. And when they left, this is the saddest part, is that we were friends. The second saddest part is that they hijacked one of my other business groups. Like, they tried to steal it. They kicked me out, and they took it, and they started messaging everybody in it, saying they're going to continue with the sewing challenges. And I actually met a couple of my friends, better friends now, because
Real
they
friends.
messaged me. Huh?
Real friends.
Yeah, because they messaged me saying, hey, this is happening. Did you know they kicked you out and they're hijacking this group? And I said, no. And so now these other people like, have filled this void. And I have another local friend here that right at the exact time this was going on, we were like acquaintances, but now she's my best friend. Like I love her to death and she's amazing. So that does happen. You lose friends, but you lose the friends that you don't really need. You lose the negative people that will weigh you down. And that's when, you know, see, here I am, I'm trying to quote things and I don't know where the exact quote says, but you know, Jesus says, I'm coming with a sword and I'm going to divide, right? Like he doesn't mean you're slaughtering people and dividing people. It means it's like a
That
fillet
comes
knife.
later.
I'm taking the skin off the fish, you know, like he's separating. I'm separating the cream from the milk, right? Like it's this separation that naturally occurs in your life. When you follow Christ, people are going to pull away from you because of their own shame that the light that you bring illuminates. So
Right.
when they realize that they're wrong and have to deal with that, that affects them in such a way that they can't handle it. So they turn away from you. And it's not even you or me or Carrie or Josh or whoever telling them personally, this is your problem and you need to handle this and you need Christ and all. But you don't even have to do that. You just live your life the best way you can in the most positive way you can, following Jesus. And that is a natural phenomenon that will happen. People will melt away, but then you will get new people.
Right. And it makes it in this time period that we're in, it does make for some very weird allyship, if you
It
will.
does.
It's like just weird. Like I've got like Joe from Australia who just like she's fighting mad. Like if she could get on a plane and come over here and defend me and you and others, she would just come and she'd like rip people apart. And ideologically, as far as worldview goes, like she'll flat out tell you, I'm not a Christian.
Yeah.
You know, Tomsky's the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the allyship between Carter and Kerry.
Yeah.
You know, like here's like he wouldn't like the use of the phrase. He's a devout atheist. He like traveled all the way down to Texas to go to a wedding of a friend who's a Christian, and sits through that.
Mm-hmm.
and those kind of partnerships are just the way that we're put together in these situations. Like I have to believe that this is orchestrated by somebody outside of me, because if this was just this wouldn't happen randomly.
Mm-mm.
And it's been good for me because like you said, the emotional weight of those kind of attacks, they tear you down. Yeah, like if I had to go through this alone, like without the people that I could turn to who understand this kind of stuff that we're going through, you and I and others, it's not easy. It's literally incredibly hard. There's not a day that goes by where it's not hard. And it is easier to back down. It is easier to say, I'm done. It's not worth the fight.
It's definitely easier.
It's not worth the stomach issues. It's not worth the anxiety and the headaches and, and the stress. It's not worth any of it when you're by yourself.
Right.
It's other people that surround you. And that can be for Christian and non-Christian. It can be for other people that you and I both know who aren't Christian or atheist.
Mm-hmm.
To say, I need these people in my life. And this is why we fight. This is why we do what we do. And our motivation at the core might be completely different from the person next to us who's an atheist, or the person next to them who might be Muslim, or the person next to them who's, doesn't know exactly what they believe, but they know they're fighting, and they look next to them and the person standing next to them is fighting with them. And it makes it so much easier to stand up and say, I'm going to keep going. Which is why you've been an inspiration to me. Like, outside of the absolute, and I say this carefully, I hit my mic. the absolute hilarity of the fact that wokeness has permeated not only sewing, but the great knitting wars as well.
Oh gosh, that's crazy
and,
too.
and so,
Again, 99% driven by women.
you
I'm just
misogynist.
saying.
But it's just like that's where like how there's just no way any of this is coincidental, and we and I, I'm in literally, Jen, you inspire me because there was no reason for you to keep going. Like sure, the income might be nice, but there was no reason.
There wasn't really. I mean, like, it's so funny because, like I said before, like, it's not like I'm dependent on it. And
Right.
there's other business owners that I know have had a harder time, probably more so than I, because they have employees or they do depend on it for feeding their family and their basic needs. I'm in a position where I would just be like, I don't really care. I'll sell one pattern and I am a happy girl. Like, somebody's out there making my stuff and that's it. And I don't care if there's 10,000 or one,
Right.
But
which would have made it incredibly easy for you to go, who cares?
I guess so too, right? In the same way, I could just be like, I'll just get over it,
Yeah, like, okay, what do I lose by not doing it? But here's the thing, and this has been on my mind for a long time, and it's the integrity of your ethic. It's what it is. The reason you keep going is it's your ethic. What good does it do to have a view that says, I believe these things to be true? And this isn't just Christian, but if I believe these things to be true, if I hold to these values, if I hold to these reasons, these purposes, and I tell you that, but then the first sign of trouble, I abandon them, then what is my ethic?
None. Like, you have nothing. Yeah.
You have nothing. You have nothing. And that goes to the Carters and the Carries and the Joshuas and the Jens and the people that we know that have been through the knitting wars and everyone, the officer out in Idaho who got fired for making fun of LeBron James and on and on and on and on and on and on and on. If I don't stand now, then everything I said that I believe in was a lie, and I have no ethic. I have nothing. And that's why you've been an inspiration to me, because I see your ethic. I see your ethic. I see what it means to you.
That is inspiring to me, because if I can change, like, if I can help one person, obviously maybe I've helped you. You're welcome. Like, if I can help one person, it's just, that's it. Like, I don't need to make $1 million. I don't need to be a celebrity, because I really, any of that stuff. It's just more like, what
I might need $1 million pretty soon.
You don't. I mean,
okay, I know.
yesterday I just shared the, store up your treasures in heaven. Yep. That whole verse, because moths and people steal things and they're going to come and get it. People can take everything from you, but what they can't take from you is things like your integrity, your self-worth, your identity in Christ. Like, they can't take anything that's in here unless you allow them to take that. They can come in and they can burn your house down and they can do whatever nasty thing they want to do to you out here, right? Or on the internet or whatever it is. They can kill your internet persona. They can persecute you in public. They can string you up and even hang you. But at the end of the day, you still have your mind and your soul. Right. And they can't take that from you unless you hand it over to them and you willingly give it to them.
Right.
And
when you resist them, they hate it.
They do. It drives them bonkers. Because
what they want is, they don't care about your property. They want to own your person. They want to own your person, your heart and your soul. That's what they want to own. And people like you won't let that happen. You will not let people do that to you. Mm-hmm. And that, like I said, is what's inspirational. And so, like, I've had you on here for a long time, and I know you probably have things to do. You probably have
sick
some.
of me?
No, I'm not sick of you. I could do this for hours. So we've been talking about this for too long, and so and I'm glad that you made time. So, parting words of wisdom from problematic Jen to anybody else out there who's going through the same thing. Maybe obviously not exactly the same
Well, if
thing.
you put out a pattern named Good Old Boy, come see me because I want to know about it. No, I'm just kidding. Anybody,
but
I mean, it's just
not the exact same thing, obviously, but some people out there who are experiencing the same thing that you're experiencing or have experienced.
You have to handle a situation like this with grace, kindness, and love, and you can't back down. If you're in the truth, if you hold that truth, and it's absolute truth, it's not, their phantom, whatever they want to, my truthness or whatever, then just stand up for it. Like if it's honest, then it's worth fighting for. You have things, if they don't challenge you, they don't change you. So if you're willing to just walk away because it's easy, then it's not worth having to begin with, and you don't deserve it.
Y'all, you heard this like story that she told and where she came from and what she's been through. So as you go and dig into her, and like other people now get a hold of this because they like to stalk her and find out what she's doing. Listen to what she said. Read her blog. We'll put the link in the description that's down there somewhere. Watch her videos on YouTube, and especially the one that we referenced earlier. And then tell yourself, who are the people who lack ethics and integrity in this situation? Jen's never hidden. She's never hidden. She almost gave up because no one should have to go through that, especially when it's false accusations. But examine the evidence, and then ask yourself, why would I believe what other people say about this person without finding out whether or not any of this is true? And if it's because it's just easier to get along with the crowd and the culture and just go with the flow, then it's not Jen who has the problem. It's you. You're the one that has the problem. And I don't mind saying that. And every single person out there that has attacked Jen and her business and lied about her, you're the problematic people. You're the ones that are the issue. And you might win some victories here on earth, but eventually, in the end, you lose. And you've already given up everything of value that you had, which was your integrity. So like always, as I close all my videos, don't worry about your safety, fight for your liberty and your freedom, and sic semper tyrannis.